All right, deep dive segment where we talk about, well, whatever we want to talk about. Leger, what do you want to talk about?
You want me to start off first?
Yeah, kick it off with us.
So I wanted to talk about the evolution of the pass rush game. Mm-hmm. I know people are always excited when they see these different twists up front, and I wanted to break it down from the elementary standpoint and then where it's evolutionized when people are starting to use it via the blitz game as well. So I pulled out the whiteboard.
Let's go.
Hopefully you're better on the whiteboard than I am.
Oh, yeah, whiteboard. Yeah, give me my one shot. There it is right there. Yep. So up top, and we're going to show you clips of this. So I just want y'all to see the top half. Ignore the bottom half. Top half.
Microphone.
Right, so this is
you draw it defensively, by the way.
100%. That's 100%.
I was like, what am I looking at?
Yes, so you see it up top right here. It's an offensive tackle, guard, center, guard, tackle, running back, quarterback. And this is the simplest way to explain this, right? On defense, we always want to dictate the protection. Right, we want to know where the center is sliding. This is the plain and simple one. Center's going away from the running back, right here on the nose tackle. So right here on this side, let me write this in for you guys. We call this a text game. Tackle first, end around. TE.
Tough.
Exactly. That's what you guys call it on offense?
When I was growing up, my dad used to talk about pick.
Go back
tough.
to my single. Text game right here, right? So you can see the tackle, he's going to penetrate in this B gap and then ricochet off the tackle. You got this end taking it up. You essentially want to get 2-on-1, whether it's on the tackle or the guard.
You're trying to set this offensive tackle up. You're trying to get him to widen.
Correct.
To get away from his guard buddy, because when they stay hip to hip, it's tough for you guys to get home.
100%. So we always want to get guys on different levels. Right. So this guy, the end guy, he has the cell that he's rushing up the field to get that tackle to open up. Got a perfect example of it. I'll let my guy, Harry.
Oh, nice.
Go to the clip. This is Braden Fisk and Michael Hoyt to the left. So he gets to the hip of the tackle and comes underneath. Like, that's picture perfect by Braden Fisk. This is why I loved him coming out of the draft, the explosive ability. He gets punched originally. It's a good job by the guard being aggressive, but he stays on that line, right? And nice job by Michael Hoyt taking up the field. Now, he actually stumbles, which I think actually helps them out in this pass rush game.
It comes like a natural.
It comes a natural. That's what we call it, too, a natural. You see Hoyt falling up underneath. Nice job by Braden Fisk right there on that text time.
Run it back one more time, and I'll give one coaching point here for the right tackle. So just run it at full speed here, which we got going on. You see how wide he gets?
And he turns his shoulders, too.
You want to set with depth, but you don't want to gain any width, because width opens up that inside hip for that 3 technique to be able to come and pick you. That's when you see the defensive end retrace, come back upfield, and then it's 2 guys unblocked instead of 2 guys blocked.
For context, that is Michael Jarrell, the 6th round.
I was about to say that's the backup tackle. So that's another thing you have to understand.
Everybody can get coached up, Mikey.
Yeah. This is the other thing you understand is on the defensive line, we know if the starter's not in.
I've seen first rounders set like that too.
Yeah, facts. We know if the starter's not in, and Kyle, you know this, it takes game reps and practice reps with the guys you're with to pass off pass rush games properly, right? Because how one guy sets is totally different than the next guy. So if you're accustomed to your guy that's always there with you, setting a certain way, right, it depends on how you set inside as a guard, right? He probably is accustomed to Abraham Lucas being a little bit more aggressive and square, right, in that set. So he was like, I'm going to jump this guard because if I put hands on him, I know Lucas is going to stay square and he can pass that off a lot easier. Well, Jarrell's was in there, who hasn't had a lot of reps. He opens up the floodgate by turning his shoulders right away and getting too much. All he's thinking about
is not getting beat around.
Correct,
so
for
his
sure.
reaction is, I got to get to my landmark quick. He's not thinking about our situation.
Correct.
And when you have the center going away, you know it's a 2-on-2 rep. That's when smart defensive linemen like yourself say, text.
Or, hey, I'm hitting it high, natural. Just feel me. Feel me. I'll be the contain guy. You just wrap around. That was a good job by Braden Fisk and Michael Hoyt. All right, let's go back to the whiteboard. This is the evolution of it. Now we want to bring more guys to the party and really make the offensive line think. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. We call this a load front to the right. So you have the nose, the 3 technique, and an edge guy. But we're also bringing a backer in between the nose tackle and the 3 technique right here.
Too many.
That way you get a full slide to the left. Again, trying to dictate the protection. Right on this backside here, you have a backer instead of a defensive tackle. He's mugged up in the B gap. You have a defensive end and you have the safety off the edge. So on the snap, You get full slide, the guard goes away.
Yep.
You get the nose coming back around.
This would be a lion call, bringing the backside guard to help at that looping nose.
For sure. So now, remember, we just saw the defensive tackle end run the text game. Now you get it from a stand-up backer, and this is the evolution of it, right? Now backers and safeties are getting in the pass rush games. You're going to get the backer penetrating in the B gap. He's going to ricochet off the tackle. The end's going to sell it up the field, come around, and then you have the safety coming off the edge. Again, they actually have enough to block it because the tight end chip and the back's there. But if you're able to get to this tackle's hip, right, they're dead. They're dead. The backer. If he's able to get to this tackle's hip and ricochet, it's over. I don't care if you do have a running back right here. We have another clip showing it right here. Go ahead, Harry. Roll that beautiful beam footage. We're going to see it right here. Jordan Brooks penetrate right there. Chop Robinson come around, and then you get the safety off the edge. Again, they had more than enough to block, but because they dictated the protection, you see everybody to the far right, the center has to go left, the guard has to come with him, because you're essentially thinking 4 guys are coming. Yeah. But you're going to see that defensive end, he's going to drop out, and that backer's going to drop out. So now we got exactly what we want, right? Again, nice job by Jordan Brooks and also Chop Robinson selling it. Brooks hits the offensive tackle. Watch how he ricocheted. Now, the back's there, and we had rules as a defensive lineman. A back is not going to block you.
Yep.
I don't care if it is Kyron Williams. And then a nice job by Javon Holland staying tight. He's the contain guy, attacking the upfield shoulder. But I love the evolution of pass rush games, not only with the defensive line, but getting linebackers and safeties involved as well.
And I love that to hear and see it there. That's a great job with that clip. And one thing I noticed at the tail end of my career was that these linebackers were able to run the text games like you're talking about from off ball as well.
From the 2-point stance off the ball.
In Minnesota, it would be Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr, who was 6'4", 245.
Essentially a DN.
So he really is a DN. And he would come, he wouldn't look at you. He wouldn't look at the B gap or the C gap the entire pre-snap process. You be there making your mics, yada, yada, yada. You take one step, the defensive end drops, and next thing you know, there comes Anthony Barr to pick the hip. So, I mean, to your point, there are so many different ways to get home as a pass rusher, as a D coordinator, and we're seeing it now. And people bitch about the O-line protection issues around the league. At a certain point, you got to say, these guys get paid.
Tip your hat to the defense.
And this is the Mike McDonald, Brian Flores-ification of the NFL that we're seeing is that Anthony Weaver, the DC, came from Baltimore. Mike McDonald, the first clip, or no, was it was the
second clip?
Second clip. That it's like these fronts, it looks complex, like when you're writing it there, but they have the ability to kind of rotate any of those guys to any of those positions on that front. And so it's very actually simple for the defensive linemen to, they know they only have a handful of blitzes that they do run, but they can make it look like anything else because they can run it with 4 down linemen, 3 down linemen, 4 backers. Like they can do whatever, 4 edge rushers out there. They can really put any guy anywhere. And that's the beauty of it. And I think from like a high level perspective, why we're seeing offense look so difficult is that they're willing to do these things. This used to be like reserved for third downs, right? And early downs, it was run game. Run game. Yeah. Now exotics are a first down.
Oh, 100%.
Teams just stop caring about gap control in the running game as much as can we just create havoc?
That's all you want to do.
Because if you can get a negative play in the running game on an early down by getting penetrators, by getting a stunt that works out, a run blitz, whatnot, that's as good as, 3 runs in a row that go for 2 yards. Right? Like you want the negative plays that you can generate regardless, because one explosive run, 15 yards, they're not worried about that if the next 2 are going to go for negative. So that's all they're trying to do in the NFL nowadays. It's not as much this sort of let's gap control, let's play sound defense. It's let's just try to make life as difficult as possible for offense.
Which is why the technique is so important. Yeah. And I don't expect you guys to know the nuances of the technique at the offensive line position, of which there are infinite combinations to get it done. But technique is more important now in the protection game than it ever has been before. And the reason you have technique is to protect you from these situations like the ones you've drawn up today. And when you don't have technique, you can see it like our guy at right tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. It's going to be a struggle.
And continuity. Technique and continuity.
I was going to say, and that's what I was talking about earlier with Kyle. Like, it's one thing, offensive line is like a rope, right? And when you move a piece, you have to cut it off and like tie it together. Now you have a lump in your line. Guys aren't on the same page. And so what Mike was talking about earlier, positionless football. is really what defense is all about right now. You talked about Mike McDaniel and Anthony Weaver coming from the same tree. And this was the Miami Dolphins defense I thought I was going to see for most of the year. Now, they've dealt with some injuries, right? Javon Holland made a return. Zach Sealer made his return. Kader Kohu made his return. So they literally had an injury at all three levels, right? So it's hard to really play that positionless football when your main guys, because they are top heavy when it comes to their roster because they've shelved out so much money to the top guys on that team that a guy like Jalen Ramsey, you really can't use his skill set and move him around. They had to play Jalen Ramsey in the slot for the last couple of weeks because they didn't trust anybody besides Caden Curry. Yeah, out of a need. Now, bring Kohu back. Now we can move Jalen Ramsey around. We can bring Javon Holland, who's one of the best blitzing safeties. He's a guy that can tackle in the open space. Jordan Brooks, you can use his skill set in regards to him being a pick guy to rush the passer. And they have the edge guys that can drop in zone coverage. So that's what I love. I love the evolution of the pass rush game. But to Mike's point, it's because everybody's playing positionless football makes it so much harder for the offensive line.
We have to go pre-snap and determine. We talk every Monday with Matt Ryan, and we talk about what you have to do pre-snap, and it's all about identifying the known rushers. Who do I really think is a legitimate threat to rush? And when they're all at the line of scrimmage, it makes our conversations longer, more stressful, because not only, to your point, is there position fluidity now in the NFL, but the numbers are all messed up.
Yeah.
You know, like we've got defensive linemen in singles, we've got linebackers in singles, and all these different combinations of numbers. When I first got in the league, it was 94 is a known rusher, 52 is a linebacker.
Sure.
Yeah.
He ain't rushing. Now it's like, anybody can rush
no question.
from anywhere on the football field at any given time.
And it's why I'll talk about this come draft, but I think everyone's going to be coveting just athletic guys on the defensive line because a lot of these, I mean, we just saw that Chop Robinson rep. He didn't have to beat anyone. He just had to run a 4.4. And he runs a 4.4 to get home. You know, it's like Yaya Diaby with Bucks this year. He's been so impactful, not because he wins a ton of one-on-ones, but it's because he runs a 4.5 at 270 pounds. It's like that guy can get around the edge on a blitz or a stunt. If you just are a little off kilter, he's going to run right through your arm. So people are going to be coveting defensive linemen that just have juice more so than ever, even if they don't necessarily have a fully refined pass rushing toolbox. They're still going to be weapons once he gets to the league.
And this is the draft to have them, too, because there's a couple guys that can go.
It's the best position in the draft, in my opinion, at this point in time.